Mark Strong won an Olivier Award for his gut-wrenching, nuanced and powerful performance in A View from the Bridge. The British stage and screen star is making his Broadway debut in the Arthur Miller Classic, and we're here tonight at the Lyceum Theatre to catch up with him. Mark Strong, thank you so much for doing this. We're in your dressing room. You've had the most incredible reviews. Do you read reviews?
No, I don't. I tell you why, I used to when I was younger,
Right.
because I think I was very concerned about what people had to say, and then I quickly realised that it doesn't help in any way. I like to find out what they're like, but I tend to try and...
Tip from the
well,
top.
I know that, I've been told.
There's some buzz about where you might be on June the 5th next year, let's put it that way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Lot of buzz.
Well, I like to read them afterwards. I'll always read afterwards, and especially the ones that are thoughtful, incisive, that are based around a real evaluation of the play and the production.
Now, obviously you've got this huge screen career. You hadn't done theatre for 12 years, I think, before you started doing A View from the Bridge. And yet you've done it now at the Young Vic in London. You transferred with it to the West End. You're now on Broadway with it. What was it about this project that made you think, yes, I'm going to spend all of this time doing this show?
It was precisely the fact that I had a pile of movie scripts to read, and I was looking at what the next job was going to be, and in there was A View from the Bridge. Simple truth is, it was better than anything else I was reading. I just thought the character was amazing, the story's incredible. I'd done A Death of a Salesman in '96 back at the National in London, and so I know what an amazing playwright Miller is.
You met him, did you not?
Yeah, we got to go over to Salzburg and sit with him for a week.
I think when I think Salzburg, I think of Sound of Music.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the actual place where we met him was in Christopher Plummer's house. You know that house on the lake, which is the Archbishop's Palace?
I know, with the Baroness, with her outfits, and
there was a theatre conference in that building, which is where we stayed for a week. And we'd adjourn with Arthur to his rooms after he'd done the stuff he needed to do in the morning. And he'd joke with us and say, what part am I auditioning for today? Because we wanted him to read all the parts. We wanted to hear his voice.
Yeah.
And he obliged. He read every part for us, Willie, Biff, even Linda. And he was incredibly generous with his time and a fascinating guy, obviously.
So you saw the script, thought, I want to do this. Now, was Ivo van Hove, was he connected to the project at that point?
I didn't know about Ivo. I read the play first. They asked me if I wanted to do Eddie. I said absolutely. I thought the Young Vic was and is one of the most incredible theatres in London at the moment. I mean, the work it's putting on is amazing. I wanted to go there. I hadn't done a play for 12 years. I thought I could dip my toe back in the water with this. And then I was told it was being directed by a Belgian avant-garde theatre director.
And avant-garde is, yes,
yeah, although he doesn't like to be called avant-garde. That's the first thing he said.
What does he call himself then?
Well, when we met, he said, everyone calls me avant-garde. He said, I'm not that. All I want to do is get to the core of any piece of a play. And if that means stripping it away, if that means kind of playing with it in a certain way, that's what I will do in order to get to the truth of a play.
Now, a lot of Americans are obviously very familiar with A View from the Bridge. This production is like nothing they'll have ever seen before, that's right. I mean, the audience are around the stage, and then, of course, the staging itself is just extraordinary, isn't it?
We were well aware that there'd been a production, a very successful and a very good production, only 5 years ago. And I think the reason that we thought we could come was because it's so different. It's completely different. It's not based in any attempt to persuade the audience. It's real. It's not about reality. It's not about theatricality. It's about simplicity. So Ivo's done away with the set. He's done away with the props.
With your shoes?
With, we perform barefoot. And it's, I think, something like an hour shorter than the one 5 years ago, because we barrel through it. We get on with it. Once you take all the extraneous stuff away, all you're left with are the words, the characters, the relationship and the story. And those are so powerful. I think that's what people are responding to.
How's it being with the audience so close? Because you have some audience members actually on stage with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be extraordinary, sort of feeding off them almost.
It really focuses the mind. I mean, there's nowhere to hide. You haven't got furniture to hide behind. There's one entrance and exit. The audience are all around you, and some are literally only feet away. It's wonderful because you have to concentrate. You have to be in the moment. If you're talking to somebody and reacting with them, you know that somebody just sitting out of your eye line is watching your every move. So the truth has to be complete on stage. So we enjoy it. Now,
I've only ever heard one American do a British accent, I believed, on Broadway.
Right.
You are obviously doing an American classic that's actually set in New York, set in Brooklyn. You're all Brits, you've come over, and you're all doing, most of you doing Brooklyn accents. Were you nervous about doing that in front of an American audience?
Absolutely.
audience?
Yeah, we were. We were very, not so much nervous, but very conscious of it. I think because the play doesn't try to persuade you that it's real, we have some leeway. You know, if the accents aren't exact, people I don't think will worry about that because it's obvious that the play isn't intending to be completely naturalistic. Having said that, you need to relax an audience. You can't have them sitting there thinking, where the hell are they from? What kind of accent is that? So we had some voice coaching. We've been in New York for a while now, so we've been able to listen to everybody. And I think it's important that we get, you know, in the right ballpark. But then again, Ivo's chosen to have the Italian immigrants who come not speak with Italian accents. So accents were never really something that we were encouraged to think about too much. But we wanted them to be as good as they could be, just so the audience can relax and get on with enjoying the play.
Now, you're giving an incredibly powerful performance. A lot of actors talk about the warm-up. What do you do also to warm down, to come off that high? Because it's extraordinary what you're doing on that stage for 2 hours straight.
I walk home, because I do need time to come down at the end of it. There's the scrub down at the end as well. There's a sort of cataclysmic event at the end of the play.
Which we won't spoil.
No, which requires
It is a big moment.
Yes. All I can say is we're the cleanest company on Broadway. And that's all part of the kind of winding down process. And you have to take a bit of time to come down. But then usually I can't sleep till wee hours of the morning.
Now, sort of going back home, I did read at one moment that you used to sing in a punk rock band, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
How did you know that?
Can you still sing? Can you hold a tune? Would you want to do a musical maybe at some point?
I'm not really a singer. I mean,
Okay.
I think there are some amazing singers out there. And I've seen some musicals while I've been here, you know, Hamilton particularly, where I think they were just phenomenal. The voices are insane. So I leave that to other people.
Okay. So going back to this punk rock era, one moment you obviously wanted to be a punk rocker, or maybe, did you always know you wanted to act? How did that happen? How did you get into the whole acting?
I had no family in the business.
Okay.
I didn't really know anything about acting. People who did that, who were in the TV or in the movies or on stage, were other. They weren't part of my world at all. So I never assumed it would be anything that I could do. I suppose being in the punk band was the first time I enjoyed an audience.
On stage,
and doing a bit of showing off and everything.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the genesis of knowing that performance was something that I would enjoy. And then I went and studied law in Germany, which was a real difficult thing to try and achieve. I didn't enjoy it. I realised it wasn't for me. So I saw some actors at Munich University when I was there doing some classes. And I remember thinking, that looks really interesting. And if I'm going to do something in life, I want to be interested in it. And it just really started there. I came back to England, I went to university, then to drama school, then into rep, and then the RSC, the National.
And then the screen came calling.
And then the screen came calling.
What do you hope audiences take away with them from this A View from the Bridge and from your performance in it?
I'll tell you a story. I was lucky enough to win the Olivier Award back in London, and I didn't really have a speech prepared. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I honestly didn't think I was going to win it, but that's by the by. When I did go and collect it, I remembered this 12-year-old boy who'd come backstage after the show, who said to me, "What's the point of theatre?" He said, "What's the point of theatre?" Because his mother was being like, "Oh, it's great, we really enjoyed it." And he couldn't help himself by saying that. And I thought that's a really good question. And this play, for me, encapsulates exactly what the point of it is. It's about catharsis. It's about seeing people. I mean, why do we go into a room, switch the lights off, watch a bunch of people pretending to be other people? Why do we do this thousands of years after the Greeks started it off? It's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, in this day of technology and everything, why do we still need to see live performance? And why can we still be moved by people pretending to be other people, telling stories physically in a live environment? And it's got to be that we look at them and we evaluate ourselves by their actions. We look at somebody and say, would I do that? Or why does he do that? Or do I agree with that? Morally, ethically, what's happening on the stage? Do I agree with that? And when people would come backstage afterwards, they'd all come and say to me, you know, why does Eddie do this? Or why doesn't Catherine do that? They really wanted to talk about it. And I hope people take that away. I hope they take away not only a really intelligent look at a very favourite classic, which this play is, but also they go out into the night thinking about what they've seen, about those relationships, about why it happened, how it happened, who was right, who was wrong, and consequently, you know, how they feel about themselves.
Mark Strong, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.